Good afternoon, morning. Welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm recently 4-piece warranty Walkie Triple XL. And I've been sort of inundated to some extent as of late with requests about laptops. And so I thought I would put together a bumper bias count. By bumper, I mean I'm going to make 15 laptop suggestions, especially in the sort of 13 to like 20 odd K price range. There are so many good laptops worthy of your attention that, like I said, I just kept adding and finding different ones for different niches, even at the same sort of price, but they fulfill different roles slightly better than the other. So yeah, we're going through 15 suggestions, including one absolutely hilarious one at the end that just looks like the most insane laptop you could possibly hope to buy. Starting off with a good general purpose work PC, I'm going to suggest this here HP to you, the 15S, simply because it comes with a pretty good ultra low voltage processor. Now, ultra low voltage processors are not built around gaming and uber multi-threading performance, but they are good for longevity on a couple of side-by-side tasks. So if you're using like Skype and Zoom and Teams and Excel and Outlook, for instance, at the same time, then this is a really good laptop to do that, especially off of battery life. It should get really good battery life. Because of that, it's got you can get it with a 12 gig RAM option. You'll see I'm often selecting it with extra memory. Just get it with the dual channel memory. It's going to make a day and night performance difference as you use the machine. 512 gig SSD, nice full HD display. It's got Windows Home in this instance, but it's got a card reader and an HDMI and etc, etc. And it just comes with a 3-year warranty and the Evetech Neo Premium backpack for 11.5. Like, this is a really solid work / type of varsity type of machine. Now, beyond that, I really do suggest you get a gaming laptop, and this will show you why. You get a full fat H series, so that's like a high current or high performance type of chip with 4 cores and 8 threads. So i7 of yesterday was all 4 core 8 thread on mobile. Sorry, you guys on the screen at the same time, but it comes with an IPS 120 hertz display, so you're going to be able to do like design sort of functions on this, because IPS is way better with its color accuracy. And then it's got a 3054 gig, so you're going to be able to play pretty much any game, not at higher settings, because 4 gig of video memory is going to preclude you from putting textures on high, but you can max out just about everything else. Things like anti-aliasing are core driven and not VRAM driven. Your texture quality is VRAM driven. That's the only offset you're going to have, but you'll be able to play any game, even things like Black Myth Wukong. Once again, not in the highest settings, but it will run pretty much any game out there. And staying with that idea, but just cranking it up a little bit, the 12th gen, you'll notice, has way more cores and threads, so it's going to be way better with general multi-threading processing. This is an 8 gig RAM spec, so let's go to 12, so you're going to get just over 14, but things get upped really nicely. 16:10 on the monitor, so it's a better ratio. It's the golden ratio. It's where we actually should have gone with widescreen. 165 hertz IPS, but with a 3050 Ti 4 gig. It has the exact same problem. The core is very strong. It's actually way ahead of its VRAM, but you're just dipping down those texture settings and still getting a really good gaming experience. And finally, for the entry-level segment, we've got to mention this unit from Lenovo again. Same thing with the i5, really solid multi-threading performance, but it comes with 16 gig RAM, 512 gig SSD with that golden ratio screen, but this is with a 3066 gig. And now you should be able to play pretty much almost any game with high texture settings, or ultra in most cases. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong and all of the new Unreal 5 stuff is going to be a bit of a stretch for 30 series card, because it doesn't have frame generation. And we've seen even on stream, my 4070 desktop card struggles at 1080p to still get to cinematic level. So don't expect that. But if you're doing basic gaming and streaming and on the go, and you just really want something that's going to be solid for work and then still be able to play a game after the fact, this is going to be so much better than getting like an ultra mobile thing, unless you really need the battery life, in which case the Intel Core Ultras will get 3 times the battery life of this in a working function. But if you're doing gaming and work at the same time, then these kinds of things, you can see why they inherently make a lot of sense. And finally, we get to my bang for buck king. This is the best sort of budget gaming system that you could hope to buy. It's not going to have nearly as much multi-threading processing as the last unit I showed you with the Ryzen 5 7000 series, but single core performance is pretty good, so it's good for gaming. 16 gig RAM, same sort of kind of setup, 120 hertz IPS display on the 16:9 ratio, but it's got that 4056 gig, and then you're going to get access to all the frame generation and such, and then you're going to be able to pump those settings up considerably, especially with newer games. And this is where HP enters the fray, because for a little bit more, you're getting a lot more processor. They've got the 13420H, which I've tested in the Lenovo Lock, there we go, with the 4060 6 gig. This is just with the 4050 6 gig. That is obviously going to be off. The 4060 is 8 gig, sorry, but it's going to be a step back in gaming performance and more focused on multi-threading performance in this unit. So similar to the other one, this will actually have a little bit better single core performance as well from this CPU. So games like CS and Dota and the esports set will generally run a bit better on this as well. And this is where we come to, like, what I would say is one of the most niche ones, but it's been quite popular because this facilitates three sort of things all in one. It's got even more processor, so you're going to, even though it's a 12th gen, it's just more cores and more threads, and they're the same cores, they just slightly improved on their wattage. That's the only thing. But MSI went about putting in a lower wattage 4050 to even further aid this thing's battery life. It's the lightest of the 4050s that I'm going to suggest to you. So this is probably the best of the on-the-go products. The only thing I can see with this that might be a deal breaker for you is the warranty is 2-year, not 3-year. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. I've already had a lot of guys on the review for this unit, which I've done as well. Check out our reviews on the channel for the laptop. There is a subsection for them, and I've done so many. I could link or like half of what I'm going to show you, but this one specifically, it went into a niche of mobility and power. So if you plugged in at the socket, you're going to have the best multi-threading performance basically for the money processor wise. Still very capable on GPU. You've got a IPS display, once again 144 hertz, all of the right sort of things, except it's way lighter. So if you're mobile a lot and you go in from plug point to plug point, then it becomes a no-brainer. And if you want to just destroy that multi-threading argument entirely, then this would be the one. You can see it is driving a considerably higher price to probably get you about 10%, 15% on multi-threading. That's why the MSI for multi-threading performance is very good. This will, however, have a full fat 4060 along with it. The other one is a lower wattage chip, so it's going to go 10 or 15% slower in gaming, whereas this is going to give you the gaming and the multi-threading performance on top. And so it sort of balances with its value, especially when you consider the warranty. Now, getting into a bit more serious gaming sort of vibes. This is if you want something that's going to be able to play AAA games at 1080p 60 FPS no matter the game, and then still have like incredible multi-threading performance. I've done a full review on this exact unit in basically this exact spec, and it's an animal. It's really, really, really good. Bang for buck wise, absolutely incredible. The Lenovo Lock series is really hard to beat. They're on 3-year warranty, plus you get the backpack, etc., etc. The point is there is always an offset, and that's battery life, which it just doesn't have. So they've housed a lot more powerful component with a lot better cooling than they have focused on the battery life. So once again, this is a little bit more of a plug point to plug point type of laptop. You're not going to get 10-15 hours worth of working time off of this. That's Intel Ultra series or ultra low voltage. That's your baby. So this is just, I go from my office or I'm out and about on different sites and I'm staying in hotels as an example, and I need a powerful laptop, then man, this is starting to get really serious. In a very similar vein, we have the HP. This would just come down to, I would say, a little bit more brand preference and screen size. This is a slightly bigger screen, 144 hertz. It's just a little bit like better on each kind of spec point, just a tiny bit. But they basically work out to be almost exactly the same value. Then we have MSI Cyborg 15, exactly the same as the B12, the 12 B12V, the V12. the other one with the i7-12650H. I can remember that, but I can never remember the flipping model numbers. But the B12VE, I think, is that one. I reviewed this as well. It's exactly the same kind of concept. These are lower wattage parts, so you get way better battery life while still getting like 80% of the total performance. So this is way more of a mobile product. I need the battery life, and then I still need the processing power when I can plug it into a socket. Then we have the first of our 4 Hyper Beast type of machines. These are like, I really like gaming and I want 2K 60 FPS gaming, because with frame generation and stuff, it's very realistic that you can get there for most games. Black Myth Wukong, hello. Yeah, that thing, it just drops elbows on PCs, and we're going to incorporate it into benchmarking because of that. But for general purpose gaming and stuff, this is going to be an animal. Nice 2K IPS 240 hertz monitor. So this is like full fat esports type of setup. Once again, with the Ryzen's, you can expect really good single core performance, almost as good as the Intel, but you are offsetting that multi-threading performance. The Intels are still just kind of leagues ahead in that regard. And staying with that type of ethos, this one is just incredibly good value. It's a newer 8th gen Ryzen 9, 32 gigs of RAM with a 1 TB drive, and then a 15-inch 2K 165 hertz. That must be like wiping your eyes with silk. Hey Aces, if you want to send this over for a review, I'd really like to review it to see if the performance and stuff match. But on paper, this thing, I think you'll agree it slaps. And honestly, we'll just keep this in the same segment. The F17 is also just unreal value right now. 13620H with 16 gig RAM, 1 TB drive with a 17-inch 2K 240 hertz IPS with G-Sync, and then the 4070 8 gig. It doth butter many parsnips, this spec. And finally, in just like super overkill laptops, now if you're going over the 40K mark and you're looking at something like really high end, I suggest you do really in-depth research, notebook check, and Jared's Tech is there for you. These guys have an inordinate amount of time and incredible equipment, and so they really take the reviews to the next level, and you should use them almost always before making a purchasing decision on this kind of scale. You're talking about the deposit of a car, okay, over here, worth of money. So let's take it a little bit seriously. But just as what the monster is this? i9 14900HX up to 5.8 gigahertz with a single core performance on 24 cores and 32 threads. In a laptop, chums, in a laptop. Keeping that cool is not easy, but Asus, honestly, with the really high-end stuff, they always knock it out of the park. Yeah, they even quote the response time for the IPS panel on this sucker. It's that QHD plus 16:10 golden ratio with the 4080 12 gig GPU. This thing should absolutely eat. There shouldn't be a game that I can throw at it that it won't absolutely destroy. It's obviously got all the Type-C and display port and add, because this is in the same line as like once you ROG Strix, ROG Zephyrus, that kind of level, this is like some of the best laptops pretty much in the world. And once again, Uncle Asus, if you feel like giving your boy a chance to review something that's cool, please, I would very much like this to run my life for a week. At that mind, Liptions is a total of 15 notebooks for every possible niche. A lot of you don't have access to me in the same way that like my friends and other people in the community do. So I really hope this helps. If you do need help though, find me on the Evetech Discord. I'm really happy to help you with your purchasing decision. I'm often going to tell you, however, to save your money and rather buy something a little bit better. Like 8 gig RAM on a single DIMM is never a good idea. Just never. Always try and get there's things that aren't really like things that you can negotiate around performance, and $500 on an 11,000 rand purchase is going to make the world's difference. I mean, like 15 to 30% worth of difference, and it's really tangible. It's stuff that you can see, hear, and feel. And so just be aware of that. I do tend to do that, and I don't want you to ever make a purchase that you then come off on it like with buyer's remorse and it's not what you were hoping for. And sometimes, listen, you've only got 10K or 12K. And in those instances, I'm going to do the best to get you the best for each sort of budget point. That's why I went into this kind of depth and gave you this many suggestions, is to hopefully fulfill that. But like I said, guys, I'm available. The Discord is there. When I'm not busy working on content or a review, I'll be on Discord and I will eventually mostly reply, usually in the same day. Anyhow, that's all I've got for you in this week's buyer's guide. If there are any other comments or suggestions, please do let me know down below, especially things that you would look for in suggestions around your purchasing, so that I can then better make suggestions to you. Until next time, I hope you guys stay safe, keep well, and I will see you on the flip side.